nor anyone else for CJ, and we've had two games really go down to the wire so far tonight.
Yeah. Well, we will see what the bans are. KT Rolster immediately, Ezreal gone.
So are they going to ban that Rumble again? They banned Ezreal, Rumble, and Annie last time they were on the blue side. Blue side bans for CJ were Kalista, Gragas, and Ryze.
I'm not sure if the Rumble's worth a ban, to be honest. Like, they could possibly let Helper have it. Yes, he got some good equalizers, but
I'm not sure about that because Helper was caught out in the late game and also died in that 1v1 to Arrow, so it seems like they found ways to abuse Helper's Gnar positioning.
Well, Kalista gonna be the standard red side ban from CJ Entus, and Annie taken out.
So, question is that Rumble going to be last? Will the Gragas be banned against Score? I thought it was a little weird that CJ banned the Gragas last game. It's not really a Score champion that we see very often. In fact, normally it's KT that bans Gragas and just has Score go onto the Evelynn or the Rek'Sai, or now I guess the Echo.
I think the idea may have been to maybe possibly just force Score onto a specific champion of their choice in the jungle. But Ryze will be the next ban.
Okay, so to Rumble or not to Rumble? That is the question.
Yeah, and another question is CJ Entus really gonna let Score have his third game on Echo? Because he's been playing very well on it, and Ambition no slouch himself at that jungle Echo.
He's played it before, so there will be the Rumble ban coming in last. Or do they leave up the Gragas and say, well, you can go ahead and have that Echo, but we're going to take the Gragas instead.
We'll see what CJ Entus decides to choose right now.
Long talk with, of course, Helper there on the end, and there's Coach Sun on your screen right now. He's been the longtime coach of CJ, used to be the primary coach of CJ Blaze.
Yeah, and the Gragas is the ban for CJ Entus, and KT Rolster thinking of what they want. Are they going to go with the Zir first pick again? It seems like it worked out.
You have to keep it away from Coco. There's no other choice here, I think, for KT, and Nagne played it very well.
Yeah.
He was clutch in those team fights, getting the good ultimates onto Space and Coco to get the kills and turn around some of those 5v5 engages, so there's no reason to not pick up that champion again.
Yeah. I would like to see Ambition on the Echo, but I think it's better to put him on the primary engaged champion rather than Helper, just because Helper is the newer and less experienced member of this team. So I do think that the Evelynn is an okay pick. What else? The same picks and bans, I guess.
Are we just going to see an identical draft to the last game? Alistair and Evelynn coming through. And so, of course, will it be Echo and Thresh? That was the picks from
Glitch in the Matrix.
KT last time. And CJ's like, do over, guys, do over.
Yeah.
We had that game. We just made that one mistake late. Remake. Score, maybe switching it up to the Rek'Sai against the Evelynn. Of course, that is usually the common pick that we see, but no.
Yeah,
why do that when you
change
take? Why change when you could take Echo and Thresh? KT's just gonna say, no, we won last game. I really don't think you need to take the Echo right now. He's not going to be used in another lane. Just take the Maokai, because his Score's just laughing right now. Yeah, just do it again.
Hey, if they do make the same exact picks and they win again, it could be a big statement, to be honest. Gonna go for the swag points.
Well, we've seen some of these matches in best of three. Sometimes we haven't seen identical picks. We've seen one champion changed from game to game.
Well, Coco wants to break out of it with the AP Rammus bid, with the Runeglaive maybe. No,
Runeglaive Rammus, the dream.
That would be
really
really funny.
Gnar and Sivir were picked up in this round of the draft for CJ. Now, I criticized them. I said, if you're just going to pick Victor anyway, just pick Victor here.
Yeah.
And counter pick for Helper. So I would say, just clean up the draft a little bit. Sivir Victor. Do it. Do it, CJ.
I don't know about this Gnar. Take the Maokai.
It just seems like a lot of stress to put a new player on a champion that requires so much communication with the rest of your team. And mismanagement of the Rage Bar is what cost the team the game. This time, it will be a Kog'Maw instant lock
Yeah.
So we're changing things up a little bit, and that probably means a different AD carry. Now, I think KT took the Victor away, or took the Kog'Maw away because CJ was setting up here to maybe take the Kog'Maw themselves.
Indeed. And I would take the Kog'Maw over the Sivir in that lane matchup personally. Yeah, I would take the Kog'Maw over the Sivir in that lane matchup. So will CJ Entus continue and take that Sivir into possibly a losing matchup there?
Yeah, I don't think you take that Sivir into the Kog'Maw lane. And they're really limiting CJ's options. So CJ, they show all of this AoE CC from Gnar and Evelynn and Alistar, and they said, hey, we want to play this matchup, and we're just trying to set up for a Protect the Cog comp, and then KT turns back around and says, no, we're going to deny this. Now they take the Shen, a champion that Someday was quite successful with in their last match against Najin.
And, you know, it just adds another layer to that protection for Kog'Maw, that big shield that comes up from the Shen ultimate. And a lot of plays that could potentially be made. Corki is the current hover. Pretty decent lane versus the Kog'Maw.
Of course, the big flaw for KT, no primary engage this time.
Yes.
There's no Maokai anymore to really get in there and make those kind of plays that KT was making last time. This is much more a Protect the Kog'Maw kiting composition, but they're used to that. They've been playing. They played Kog'Maw 2 games against Najin, and they actually executed it quite well. But they need to get to the Dragon first. They need to have priority over Dragon. And frankly, that's been a problem for them early this series. Getting to Dragon first has not been their forte so far. So CJ's going to be on the Corki instead, so they have good poke with Victor and Corki. They also have the superior engage with the Alistar and the Evelynn following up into a Gnar ultimate. So CJ a little bit more flexible in terms of how they can play the map. KT, if they can force a kiting situation, will be spectacular. So much zone control, so much CC, but they have to be moving backwards to really effectively use it, unless they're going to rely on something like a Thresh hook to start a pick.
Or maybe even just the Azir, you know, doing the Shuriman Shuffle with the Shen coming in on top of it. That would be actually very good engage.
And you know what? CJ's a team that knows how to do that. So they're not going to be surprised by this, because that has been CJ's trick this season, has been Azir Shen.
Yeah.
Using the all-in with the Azir ultimate and the Shen shield on top of him to set up a play, because conveniently, if you time it right, everyone ends up in a line at the end of the Azir ultimate, and they actually just sets you up for like a perfect taunt across 2 or 3 people.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if CJ Entus can play maybe a cleaner early game, because Coco just got so denied off of that blue buff, and he needs that blue buff to apply the pressure to really allow Ambition freedom to go into the enemy jungle.
That's right. Well, we're going to load into Game 3 now between KT Rolster and CJ Entus. Similar styles of compositions. Who's going to win and take this series home?
All right. Once again, big cheers from the fans, and 5-man stack for KT Rolster as they just look to establish deep wards, I think.
Yeah, KT's really going to want the 2v2 with this Kog'Maw. KT just waiting, actually. They're trying to bait in the very unusual bait, but they think that CJ wants to get those deep wards to take that red buff.
Meanwhile, CJ doing an invade on the enemy blue side of their own, getting in deep wards on this side. They're going to do it fairly well, and KT will know.
Oh, they're going to see Mad Life right now.
Yep. So they know where the wards are now.
So the Brush Hide, not as effective as KT would have liked, and in fact, that's going to deny them from really getting any information at all. That is the risk to playing so passively or trying to set up a trap, is you just don't get good wards down.
It was a good try, I think.
Sure, and they have so much crowd control too. Even though there's an Alistar on the other team, I mean, multiple people getting flayed and then taunted would probably be a pretty bad situation there for CJ Entus.
Yeah, and potentially a parallel convergence on top of that.
That is very true. We have seen Echoes at level 1 pull off the parallel convergence.
Especially if I have a
Stun.
stack like that too. It's going to be big. Well, CJ Entus looks like will be a standard lane setup.
Now they know what's coming. They should have seen Thresh and Kog'Maw on the wards walking to lane, but it's going to be too late really for CJ to respond unless they want to lose some experience and go around the long way and not have a freeze. So KT gets the lane matchup. They will be able to use the Kog'Maw range early on, but there's still, it's not the end of the world. There's still a lot of sustain with the Alistar, so
Yeah.
and you have the Foss Bomb early to maybe get in a trade or two, but other than that, should be a nice lane for Arrow.
Someday it's level 2, TP's into the bottom lane. Oh, sorry, I lied. That was Helper, and someday we'll mirror that. So, standard lanes.
Oh boy, Barry.
Oh boy, we get the mono-a-mono, the gentleman's duel.
Gentleman's duel where you throw boomerangs and swords at each other.
Yep.
That doesn't sound very gentlemanly, Barry.
Maybe,
Gentlemen don't throw swords.
what do they do, shoot pistols at each other?
No, you could have a sword fight. You just don't
Ah.
throw your sword. Why would you intentionally disarm yourself?
Well, maybe
Gentlemen are trained better than that.
maybe your swords come back to you just like Shen's do.
They don't come back. It just throws them and a new one appears. I have never seen a Shen sword come back.
Maybe it just happens off screen when you're not looking. They're just all in a pile on the ground, and just when you look away, whoop, all the way back into the scabbard.
Yeah, see, that's how many swords does Shen leave on the map while he's actually
Probably a
in this
lot.
game? Just like, it's so dangerous. You can't be barefoot on Summoner's Rift when Shen's in the game.
Well, thank God that they wear all these boots.
You have to get the boots for Shen's sword protection more than anything else.
Yep. Well, Score gets his blue buff.
Is that your favorite part of the game?
Score getting the blue buff. Well, he's been getting a lot of them this game.
He certainly has been getting a lot of them this series.
Well, Helper up a level, gets the stun. Doesn't want to get more damage on him. A little bit afraid of where Score might be. No information on where he is. Oh, mid lane, we see Azir with the CS lead once again, and we're going to look at some stats as well. 15 and 5 on Kog'Maw.
It's always been a big pick for Arrow, but the really surprising one is Space's lackluster Corki.
I think that's including the stats from CJ's big face, what was it? When they fell flat in Season 4. I think that it is an all-time record, so.
I could look it up real quick, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be accurate for his champion scores at the very least. Ambition wants to go. Scores only level 3. Parallel Convergence going to come in. He is going to get the phase dive just to zone, and no follow-up really. Nagne gets his back taken care of by Score.
Still a favorable trade for Coco, I think.
Yep, definitely was. Score just going to start to harass Ambition. He hits level 4 right now. Space actually gets grabbed, and no follow-up on the trade, though. Madlife with a nice headbutt, but a good flay. Madlife taking a lot.
Well, look good at the middle of that, and Score sees Ambition.
Yeah, he does. He's going to get the drop on him, actually. Oh, the face check, and there's the hate spikes coming out. Some of those passive procs. Ambition actually taking a lot of damage here. Ambition has to flash. Score still has his flash available. How far does he want to push this?
Well, yeah, the Scuttle Crab.
Enough. So, yes, had the Scuttle Crab speed. And now Peekaboo just going to chain the Coco together. Whoa. Lots of damage, and that's what Peekaboo does. He'll just wander out of lane, and Arrow can see us from pretty far away with that Bioarcane Barrage. So
Yeah.
he is okay to be left in that top side. Losing in terms of CS, but they got 2 summoners out of Coco on that roam.
Yeah, and that was such an odd time to be seeing
Very
that Thresh.
weird. Well, you don't expect, you just were chasing, you're trying to help your ally get out of there, and you don't expect a Thresh just to show up in your lane, walk up to you, and hook and flay you.
Yep, and, well, Madlife gets a good pulverize, and they just want to push this into the turret and possibly deny some CS.
Yeah, and there's a big wave right there, though, so Arrow should be able to get back within about 5 to 10.
Good damage and delay onto Nagne. He could lose a wave to his turret, I think, if Coco decides to push hard.
Score just going to wait there. Ambition wants to get some counter jungling done at the moment. He will be found out by Score, and neither player has Smite yet. They're going to have Smite at about the same time. Yeah, Ambition doesn't want to mess with this one. Score just wants to go farm under the turret and start to catch back up right there. Someday, you know, he doesn't have that wave clear early on, does have that problem getting harassed just a tad, but starts with the Doran's shield, and so he's going to at least have a little bit of sustain. And
still up in CS as well. So Someday I think is in a good spot right now. The tower hadn't taken much chip damage either. Alright, well, Peekaboo moving around as he usually does.
It gets seen, so we'll be pinged out. They have some good deep wards on the top side if they need to. Make sure they know where Peekaboo is, which is definitely an important facet of playing against a Peekaboo. Arrow really suffering in terms of CS, and this is the price. There is that price. Obviously, Arrow was never a great player when it came to farming, and when Peekaboo's with him and Peekaboo is wandering all over, Arrow has to necessarily be denied a little bit in that situation. And when he's on this Kog'Maw that really needs that farm to get to the late game, that may delay a power spike here, possibly for KT Rolster, in a situation where pre-6 they should have had the advantage on the Corki and been able to push him out just a little bit harder.
Yep, Pink Ward snuffed out by Ambition before he gets onto that red buff.
He's scared.
Yeah, Nagne's moved up there.
He really doesn't want to do that right now. Peekaboo can roam in. He's actually going through Tri-Brush, and they don't know exactly where Score is. They haven't seen him yet. So there's a possibility that he could be walking around the red buff also, which is why they're playing so cautiously at the moment. Peekaboo goes again. You know, that is risky, because if CJ calls their bluff and Score isn't there, then maybe you lose something for that. But they get the wards in again. KT just very good about sneaking deep wards into the enemy jungle.
Yep, and KT pushed up in the top lane. Ambition gets his red buff, but he is low.
Well, they want to make a play right now. On this gen, they have one more global than CJ Entus does, so by prioritizing, using that Shen ultimate early and often, they can force a TP advantage and then make more plays and snowball from there. You really, when you have this Shen in the bottom lane, you really just want to go nuts on the enemy team, because you're going to have that ability to make plays on the opposite side of the map more than twice as frequently as your enemy top laner.
Yeah. I feel like this might be an okay game to get maybe Frozen Mallet on the Gnar just to really keep that Shen under control.
That's a very good point.
But I don't think this probably isn't going to be one of those Frozen Mallet Black Cleaver games.
Probably not. That is true.
But I think Frozen Mallet probably a very, very good buy against this KT team. But yeah, while Helper has Shen bullied in that bottom lane, it's still even in CS. It really depends on how much damage he's getting on this turret to see if it's really worth it.
Right, and it's hard to make a play yet because neither of our top laners or our AD carries is actually recalled at all.
Yep.
So there's such a small amount of damage coming out that there's not really a great way to make that gank work. But this actually does end up in CJ's favor, because the longer they can prevent Shen from getting items, the less dangerous he is going to be, and the more reluctant he will be to make cross-map plays.
Well, Helper just really needs to try to chunk out Someday so he can't TP or ult away, which he's trying to do right now. But Someday using his W very well to prevent as much damage as possible.
Indeed. No more roams from Peekaboo for the instant. For the moment, even though they have a lot of wards. So KT trying to play around this top side right now and get themselves back in the race when it comes to the CC. It's been a really long time without these recalls. We're well behind in itemization between what we would see in this game compared to a normal one.
Yep, and well, Ambition and top side possibly looking for a play. They don't know exactly where Score is.
No, they have to be so cautious here. The junglers are really the only people with items.
Whoa,
this is the taunt, actually. Helper gonna have a chance to hop out of this one. Parallel Convergence not going to land. He is slowed up by the Time Winder. Where's the next taunt? There's a flash coming in. Two flashes. for the first blood onto Score, and Ambition just nowhere close to answering that gank on another lane. So a few summoner spells burned right there, but someday we'll be happy to recall, and maybe they can do something else. Peekaboo goes back, and you can see CJ just wants to get out of there as fast as possible right now before there's an answering gank onto them in the top side, because Peekaboo decides to flash Flay while he has a Shen ult on top of him. It could be very bad for Corki and Alistair.
Coco gonna run to Score. Pelican Bird just goes down.
Doesn't get the stun. There's the Shen ult. They want to get onto Coco. Nogne's going to follow up. Nogne over the wall. Coco actually going to dodge the Azir ultimate. Now Score getting low. Summoner heal going to save him from Nogne. But Nogne gets a kill onto Ambition on the follow-up. Someday will escape. Mad Life there just a little bit too late, and there's not anything else he can do right now. So Coco gets away. But it comes at a pretty dear price of Ambition going down.
Well, CJ once again starting on the back foot in terms of, just pressure, it seems like. But no objectives have been taken, so game's still fairly even.
Arrow starting with Blade of the Ruined King this game instead of going for the Trinity Force.
Maybe they're trying to set him up for a 1v1 versus the enemy top laner? Not sure.
I think they actually just want to sustain against the Corki poke. That would be my guess.
Wouldn't just
here.
a Vamp Scepter be enough then?
Well, yeah, I would think so, but it would also delay the completion of the Trinity Force. There's also the possibility that they want to team fight with him earlier, and because Gnar is stacking MR and HP right now, the Blade of the Ruined King is going to be incredibly efficient against Gnar.
We'll see.
Without any armor.
We'll see if it pays off soon, but one can only think that the Triforce is probably the next item that will be built by Arrow.
Yeah, certainly. I would assume that was going to be the case. Peekaboo playing aggressively while he has a pink in his try and a Score in the brush as well.
Oh, Peekaboo moving up.
Flay, hook, not going to hit space.
I think Mad Life has started to try to figure out how Peekaboo tends to use his hook after he flays.
Well, he definitely wanted to hook space right there, not Mad Life. You don't hook Mad Life because Mad Life will just pop his ult and walk away.
Right.
So going on to space, the more valuable target.
So looks like KT starting to threaten the Dragon. Trying to turn the control wars over on their side. And yeah, well, let's see in the top lane. The Helper has Someday pushing it under his turret. He hasn't been getting a lot of chip damage is the thing. He's just really afraid of the Shen taunting him under turret.
I mean, it's a legitimate threat, and he is playing respectfully, perhaps too respectfully, as KT zeroes in on the blue buff.
And now Shen has that Sunfire cape, so he's going to be able to match that push to a certain degree.
Score just going to smite away. Yeah, and the Sunfire cape is absolutely that huge item on Shen. You do not have wave pressure before you pick that item up. You have to get it first. If you're delayed and you have to build MR in a top lane matchup, you can run into a lot of problems. But in this particular instance, he's able just to get it because, of course, he's going to build the armor naturally against the Gnar, so now he actually has a way to respond in the end.
Well, not much happening so far.
Nope, just blue buffs being taken by KT. And, this is great for KT. This is how you beat CJ. You shut down Coco. Coco is the big threat. And if you can eliminate him, there's not a lot of help that CJ is going to get. They don't have a big top lane carry these days. Even though Helper has been performing pretty well, especially in Game 1 of this series.
Yeah, but now that Rumble's banned and he's on this Gnar, he hasn't been looking as amazing on it. Coco opts not to recall once it's been delayed.
Peekaboo moving around the map. They want to take this Dragon before Echo even gets there.
They'll probably get it with the Blade of the Ruined King on Kog'Maw.
It's a great item to start out with, because you can tank the Dragon and you can get that percent HP. So Score just going to show up for a final smite.
And Nogne is just putting so much pressure in that mid lane right now.
Really good Dragon timing for KT. They managed to make it work. And they also had 2 forms of teleport while Helper didn't have a TP up at all. So super safe, using the recall timing of space to get that Dragon. And that means they are finally starting to get the game's early dragons, which they've been struggling with. And Someday just going to back off right there. Doesn't want to deal with a possible 3-man dive. Has a very smart ward where he at least sees Mad Life.
Well, and now he knows for sure that Ambition is in the top side, so they'll probably get this turret, I'd imagine.
And again, Coco, no mana. Denied that blue buff, goes over to Nagne. Nagne has the pressure. He has that ability to push into the mid lane, and Coco just has to stand here helplessly and watch his tower get chipped. That's the last death ray he's got.
Well, he has a null magic mantle, so maybe he's adapting and going for the Chalice of Harmony here. Or maybe just going for that Abyssal Scepter early.
I bet he's going for the Abyssal.
Yeah. I feel like the Athene's Unholy Grail would be actually a good pickup at this rate.
I mean, I agree with you. If you can't rely on his team to protect the blue buff, then absolutely you need to get that regen for yourself, because otherwise you're going to lose your towers.
And it looks like it will be the Abyssal Scepter with that blasting wand by.
Yep, sure will be. A lot more damage onto the turret. And that's going to be used as a recall timing for Nagne. He finishes his Abyssal Scepter.
Yep.
And so he's going to be able to push even further forward right now. The question is, where is Someday going to make his next play?
Well, Someday, just pushing and pushing. Just these lanes aren't going to break anytime soon, it seems like, Monte Cristo.
No, I dare say they will not.
And the longer this goes, I feel like turns more and more in favor of KT. Even though they have that top lane tower taken.
As long as they don't have to engage, oh, that's just annoying. Ambition going to steal it with the smite. He does get tangled up. He is taking a lot of damage, especially from that Sunfire cape too. So, but there is a Mega Gnar on the top side to give him a bit of a helping hand. So not going to be the end of him by any means. There's also Peekaboo. Again, look at Peekaboo and score. Just leave an arrow. Arrow just walks back to the turret. He's like, I'm okay. Wow, Ambition actually has to flash score going in. He's going hard. And there he goes. Goodbye. As Score and Peekaboo flash for a kill. And this is what KT does. They play very weird in your own jungle. This is what Peekaboo has always done. And they give up a bottom tier 1 for it, though. And that's the question is, are these kills onto Ambition worth it? Because what KT kind of trades dragons and towers for early are buffs and jungle control.
Well,
and not even in this case. Peekaboo's coming back around. He's going to be there with a Shen ultimate on him. Mad Life immediately uses the Unbreakable Will, but Someday's already there, and Helper is just not in a position. And there's a hook. Beautiful. Arrow has a chance to come over. If he needs to, he will. And there is Mad Life. Dead. He resigned himself to his fate. Oh, wow. Coco just gets found on the outside. There's the Chaos Storm. Ambition is there. Score is coming up from behind. Ambition not going to be able to actually kill Nagne, though, with Score and Someday to back him up.
Well, Nagne saw that he had the item advantage and went for the fight, but just Score wasn't there quickly enough to really add that extra damage. And yeah, KT off to a good start. 4-0 up 1,000 gold, so, and a dragon.
But it's only that 1,000 gold.
Yeah.
It's only that 1,000 gold. They have the dragon, that's great. But KT, it's interesting because what we've seen from them against Najin and against CJ so far is that they really prefer to trade some early objectives. They'll give up a dragon, they'll give up a turret if it means they can get a buff and a kill and some deep wards in. So the vision priority is absolutely crazy right now for them as a team, because while other teams will not try and take advantage of any kind of opening or not be willing to fight or commit when there's not a dragon on the line, KT will, and I think that's confusing to CJ. Now, is it worth it? Maybe not. Last game, I think it was, as Peekaboo gets caught out a little bit right here. There's Ambition popping the Agony's Embrace. Peekaboo on the run. There's an Exhaust to follow up. Coco coming through, and there, Peekaboo trying to save himself with the Lantern, but Coco flashing over the wall for the kill.
Good kill.
But they are deep in enemy territory right now. Remember, Someday still has a TP,
well,
but they're going to get out.
Dragon coming up in 50 seconds, so CJ can use this chance to kind of set up for that dragon, and Nard just pushing, pushing, pushing. Story of this game.
CJ losing their mid lane tower, though. That is pretty huge right now for them, especially if they want to try and make a game out of this around the next dragon.
You know, I wonder if it would be worth it for Helper to match some days Sunfire Cape with one of his own. Then at least he'll be even in items, and since he was winning that kind of push war already, he'd be winning it even harder.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much that would help in this particular instance. I liked your idea of going for the Frozen Mallet in this matchup. I think that might be quite strong. At least you can win the harassment, so if he actually walks up to the wave, you just hit him with your auto several times and make sure you get that % HP proc so that he's less likely to walk into the middle of the minion wave.
Well, looks like he's going to get that chip damage onto that turret, but someday coming back to lane very quickly with the Helm Guard. And a lot of armor on something. Like
Space also ahead. He's got the finished Trinity Force. Arrow does not, but CJ just nowhere near this dragon. They have the Scuttle Crab, but they're not going to fight it.
Yeah, I feel like they just wanted to give that up, maybe farm up a little bit more, maybe catch up Coco a little bit.
Well, as long as KT gets that dragon first and they get in position in the river, CJ should be very reluctant to try and fight them because that Shen ult is going to do a huge amount of work if they can use it defensively instead of offensively. It's so much easier to use that ability while the enemy's engaging into you than to try and time it with one of your allies engages. Oh, someday. With the,
oh dear.
The sexy sword throw and then the nice little dodge at the end. The taunt.
Well, pressure starting to turn against CJ. And Nagne starting to roam down. Looks like KT may want to go for a dive on this turret, or at least a big play in the bottom lane, but Nagne seems a little indecisive.
No, I'm not sure they want to do this quite yet. They could try for a 5-man dive. They may just try and zone them off the tower. And that's what they're going to do. They have the Sheen. They're going to fake it out with the Lantern, see how much damage they can get, but Mad Life really not going to fall for that.
Okay, the tower survives for now. They see Nagne moving back into the mid lane. Is this an opportunity for Ambition in the bottom lane? They know Score's still there.
Yeah, they do. It was a good play from Mad Life, though. He didn't take the bait. They had Victor there, so he felt comfortable trying to defend the turret. That's going to keep it alive for a while longer.
Yep.
Pretty important in a very close contest, but CJ is slowly getting more and more and more of a CS advantage, and that's translating now into the fact that they have overtaken KT Rolster in terms of the gold lead in this game.
Well, we'll see if there is a fight that breaks out anytime soon. But it's just farming for both teams.
Well, Arrow really needs that Trinity Force. He has to be able to match Space's power spike if he wants to be successful in some of these team fights. He'll get it on his way back right now. Does he get the boots? Yes, he does. So running himself out of gold. He's 1,000 gold behind thanks to the extra turret and the fact that Space has managed to get a 40 or 30 rather CS advantage.
Yep. And Coco is going to take the Scuttle Crab, as well as, yeah, just Ambition going to recall.
So KT, they have these two early dragons. They are going to be perfectly fine with that. They have the better late game scaling, so the fact that they don't really have to commit to dragon fights for a while will suit them just fine.
So if you're CJ, what do you want to do now? Do you want to go for some crazy dives? But the problem is that Shen is up, and Shen is getting very tanky.
Helper going to try and fight this one. There's a Gnar ultimate, but it's not going to get a stun. Box already dropped to stop them from doing this. There we go. Taunt coming through. Is there more damage? Parallel convergence over the wall. It is not going to hit the Corki in the end, but that's going to be a lot of disengage. Someday misses his taunt on the return. Now here they're all grouped up. Big Chaos Storm. There's a Shen ultimate to save Pick a Boost. Shen just going to taunt over. He's still in the storm. Does get out. Nagne moving forward. Arrow's here. Flash over the wall.
Oh.
Beautiful headbutt from Mad Life, but Arrow has his flash in return, and that means Helper's going to fall, and Mad Life will die in the end as Arrow counterplays the Alistair, and there we go. there's a
Oh
TP.
my.
Someday already back in, using his one global, but he's still going to go for this. They want to clear out those vision wards in the pit, and they want to figure out if this Ambition Evelyn is still on the flank, which she is. They have to do this quickly. Helper still has TP.
Yep. And they probably will with the Blade of the Ruin King on the Kog'Maw, and Ambition seen.
Yeah, they want to find it. They see
Yes,
Ambition.
flash.
There's a
Oh.
hook. They catch him out. Ambition is going to fall. Wow score picks up the Baron. So early Baron from KT Rolster on the strength of that fight. Ambition tried to be sneaky, but Peekaboo managed to find him alongside Arrow. So a quick Baron means 7-1 kills in favor of KT Rolster. And CJ started that fight too.
Yeah.
KT reacted to it. Peekaboo just getting out of the Gnar. This is just... So we didn't actually see the Gnar ult coming in because it had already been used, but Someday just perpetuating this since he knows that key Gnar cooldowns are up. And again, they're fighting around when Helper's about to go into mini Gnar, just like they did at the end of last game. Good ult from Ambition, but Nagne plays this defensively, and Someday manages to teleport just out of range. Arrow here is able to do a lot with just the living artillery on the flank, and Bad Life makes a play. That is a great play, forces the Summoner out of Arrow, but also isolates Mad Life in the end.
I feel like, what exactly did Helper die to? Because Arrow killed him, so did Mad Life's play actually put Arrow in range?
That is a good question, actually.
I feel like
didn't
that's
see
what it
that.
did. Because I don't think he died to the red burn at that point. He had maybe about like 100 to 50 to 100 HP, so it wasn't enough for the red burn to just kill him at that point. He was really far back.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that when Mad Life punted Kog'Maw in there, there's no supplemental CC after that. There's no way to instantly lock up the Kog'Maw and keep him from doing damage. Sure, he popped the exhaust on him to cut the damage, but there's nothing to stop him just from flashing back out like he did. So there wasn't a lot of synergy there, even though it looked like at first glance that Kog'Maw movement was going to be good. If the flash is still up, he gets out relatively easily.
Yeah, and once again, so that fight started out with Helper getting caught out in the enemy jungle. So Helper...
It wasn't that. They tried to go onto Peekaboo. That was the
Yeah.
thing, is that Peekaboo was alone, and Peekaboo turned that fight around by boxing and then flashing out, and then Helper burned key cooldowns without getting the stun off on the Gnar. And that's when KT decided to re-engage. So I think that's just a bad judgment call by Helper.
Okay.
To go, because as soon as you get the flash out and the box out of Thresh, you're like, oh, great. That's good. Yeah,
Yep.
just back out. But by continuing to go in, that was what caused the problem.
You know, I don't understand why he chose to use that Gnarl in the direction that he did. Because he just essentially threw them down the jungle, away from it, and like just parallel to the wall rather than into it. So I think if he had gotten Peekaboo into a wall, it might have been a different story, possibly.
Maybe. I'm not sure that his team was in range to do damage at that stage would be the issue. But yeah, but you have to credit KT too. They won last game by playing around Gnar Rage very well, and they did that. They won that team fight and came out, got a Baron with that same level of play.
Well, and KT gonna take a third dragon, uncontested. CJ in no position to fight at the moment.
Much earlier ages this game.
Yep.
From score naturally, and that's a big problem. CJ pretty heavy into the magic damage, so the MR itemization, even though Someday has decided that he doesn't need any for some reason.
This Kog'Maw 3-0-1 and is almost finished his last whisper, so this Gnar is not in a good spot.
Has finished his last
Has
whisper.
finished it along with the Berserker's Grief, so you know, Arrow in a very, very good position to just carry this game right now. And as long as KT can just keep the Kog'Maw safe, which they very easily can with this composition.
I'm not sold on Someday's build here. Not sure you need
that much armor.
Not sure you need that
I think he just
Thornmail yet.
I think he just wants it for the 1v1 split push versus Helper. Because like as Helper continually hits him, he's just going to be taking that return damage.
But to that I say, Helper has a lot of MR already.
Yeah.
So it's really not going to be doing hardly any damage. I don't know. I don't know about that one. I think it makes him too vulnerable to the burst from Coco.
Well, hopefully Coco can get that burst down, but he's still down a substantial amount of gold compared to Nagne. And meanwhile, Nagne has 3 core items.
Ooh, the pick.
There we go, Helper.
Yeah, they want to go up to Arrow. He's already taken a bit of damage, but Helper is taking a huge number. And there's the Shenel right on top of him. Someday coming into the fight. Helper very low, but Score, he has his chrono break. It's okay. And meanwhile, Space and Nagne scuffle in the jungle.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how much damage this Kog'Maw is doing, especially now that he has that last Whisper and the Triforce and the Blade.
Here we go, TP coming in. They want to get onto Arrow. Can they do it? Great engage. Arrow gets nearly blown up immediately, and there they go. They get the kill onto the Kog'Maw, shutting Arrow down. Score on the run right now. There he goes. Falls before they can siege the turret. So Helper takes damage, but then immediately TP's back in for a counterplay. Now they have TP disadvantage. How far can CJ push this? The Azir is still up. And there's no Dragon and no Baron.
Well, the Azir is going to be zoned out. Helper looking to maybe zone Nagne away. Helper creating that zone. And he gets taunted, jumps away. Has his ultimate up, so they could potentially go for this dive. They want to take this. They have to take this right now. Ambition, take some damage.
Yep, just give up the turret. That's what the KT, they did what they could on the defense. The most important thing is being alive when the Baron spawns. So if all CJ gets out of that is 2 kills off the pick, but they have no TP now.
Yeah.
So the question remains, how is CJ actually going to contest this Baron when they have no mid turrets and KT still has 2? If KT can just go ahead and siege down this tier 1 in the top side and then take control of the Baron pit without the TP, it's going to be really hard. Coco's still down in bottom.
Yep, and Someday moving down towards that bottom lane. That wave is pushed up fairly heavily towards the side of CJ. So Someday, both globals are up, his ultimate and his teleport.
Well, this should in theory be a very easy Baron take for KT as long as they can get priority over the vision, or Shen is just going to split push rapidly into the inhib turret. So easy times now, and while they did get the kills, that's why you can't use TP like that, especially against a Shen who has twice as many globals as you, because otherwise you find yourself in this situation, and it simply is not worth it.
Well, Shen pushing up. CJ can't afford to send anyone right now towards him because, just like you mentioned, but Mad Life gets caught.
All right, is Shen going to ult, though, is the question. Shen just staying firm. He's not going to do anything. They tried to hard engage it, but they didn't get it. I mean, it's either the inhibitor or the Baron. That's CJ's choice right now. That is the kind of grave they dug for themselves.
This is flashbacks to Season 3, Monte Cristo.
Space going to have to go down and deal with this, but Someday is going to just wait for the next wave. KT has to play this very patiently.
Baron is activated. They can take this very quickly.
They can. Of course, the Kog'Maw and the Azir are there. Score going to get the Shen ult onto him, so they're just going to commit to this immediately. A little bit dangerous for KT. They could get this stolen. But they're not going to. Nara's not there. There it goes.
Yep, CJ gives up that Baron.
And that is the problem with making teleport plays like the one we saw CJ making, is that you're forced into a really, really rough situation.
And it looks so promising for CJ after they made that, but as you said, just with the Baron coming up that quickly, and now the Dragon up in 30 seconds, will CJ Entus be able to possibly take this, or will they be able to take a fight here? Shen ultimate is down, so that is one big cooldown down for KT Rolster.
Doesn't matter, still has teleport.
Right, but like I'm thinking more in terms of the shield of that Shen ult, because it could definitely stop a pick from occurring. And that's what CJ Entus needs. They need a good pick.
So KT lining up for Dragon number 4. Scuttle Crab steal, that's nice for Ambition.
Smite, he has a second charge.
Nope, blind hook, not going to work. Of course, he didn't have vision thanks to the ward being blocked by the sweeping lens. So there we go. Pink ward down. They're going to clear out. I'm not sure that's really necessary, actually, because they have the crab, so you don't really need to clear out their wards right there because they're going to have no vision no matter what you do.
Yeah, and Ambition tried to go for a flank, but that pink ward was in his way. KT has a strong 5-man unit. If they want to fight this, CJ needs to go in relatively soon.
Well, W's down for Echo, so that means KT needs to walk away from this until the Echo W is up again.
So Dragon resets. Bottom wave is pushing in favor of CJ Entus, so the longer they possibly drag this out.
Yeah, but this mid lane is kind of disastrous right now. Shen's ult is back up, so KT could just stand here forever. And Helper has CP up now. Right now. Ambition's still looking for the flank. There's no pink wards to prevent him from getting it, but there's Someday. And he has Baron minions, so KT just perfectly happy to sit here as long as this takes.
CJ needs to make a decision right now.
Here comes Ambition. There's the TP coming in from the side. They have the home guard. Can they win the fight? They've all in on this. Arrow so safe in the back line, face of the mountain, and the Shen ult on him. He's going to flash back and then keep on auto-attacking. No threat onto Arrow. Arrow is just going to kill everyone after that. KT so ready for that play from CJ. CJ with the Hail Mary attempt. They wanted it, and now Someday Coco hunting.
Coco tries to run in with the speed boost, trying to delay as much as possible, and dead.
Flashing with the sod. Coco not looking too happy about that one. Score just going to pop in with the phase dive and see if he can get that last little bit of damage out.
Oh, we're doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, they have to blow Summoner heal. They should just be going for the win right now. They have Baron empowered minions. No reason that they have to deal with Helper.
Well, Arrow has no mana right now, but there are 4 people from KT still in that middle lane.
Yeah, they can't win now. They waited a long time chasing down Coco and Helper, and now Space and Madlife and everyone are back up. No TP, so they can get the Dragon A-OK, but they only got an inhibitor when I think they may have been able to take just a little bit more.
Well, KT wants to play safe, so they get in position for Dragon number 4, and they take it easily with a big wave pushing up top. That's also a big chunk of gold heading their way as well. Nagne going to pick it up.
Yeah, this is a huge cash-in. It's going to be an Infinity Edge for Arrow, as if he wasn't doing enough damage already.
Oh dear.
I really like how KT disengaged that fight, though. They were incredibly prepared for what was coming in from CJ. Of course, they could have had a better pink ward on their flank to prevent Ambition from getting in, but CJ was just a little bit helpless, and that was their kind of last chance of getting back into this game.
Well, CJ Entus.
Banner command onto Someday.
Well, CJ Entus will need a miracle play for sure in order to take the win away from KT Rolster at this point. But with that banner of command, as you said, it's looking very, very difficult. Someday split pushing is just going to be that much more potent, and they can easily give up this tier 1.
Yeah, but the 5-man stack working for CJ.
Shen ult is up.
Shen ult back available. Of course, those Shen ult buffs recently to the cooldown really helping him have that much more presence on the map once again. Big factor into why he's back in the meta.
Oh, Shen pushing and pushing. CJ wants to back off, but I wonder what they're exactly trying to do. Someday will steal this blue buff on his own.
He hasn't actually used the banner yet, curiously. CJ wants this, but the glory's been used, and it's not going to find a target. So it looks like everyone from KT just wants to pile on through into the bottom lane and take this last remaining tower.
And CJ forced to take the long way around. And they're going to get decent damage. They're probably going to take this turret right now.
They have a machine. No problem. Oh, Ambition gets hooked and boxed into the side. Score doesn't want to finish off that kill yet, though. They're trying to prevent the flank. Helper's about to turn into Megadar, but how much will it help? Arrow gets stunned in the back, but he's under the Azir turret, and there's the Shen ult. He does die, but Nagne is full HP. They committed so much that is a triple for Nagne, and that is a quadra. Is Nagne going to get the penta? He's coming in. They won it. What? No. Pentakill! And there it is. Going back to the turret for the worst pentakill camera work that I've ever seen. It was so easy. All you had to do was focus on Nagne. Something does land the taunt, and that'll be a penta for Nagne.
And with that, KT Rolster takes a 2-1 victory in style with a pentakill to top it off at the end. Well played, GG.
Yeah, and this KT still looking a little bit rough as they acquire, or they acclimate a bit to their new roster, of course, making some of those changes. But honestly, very promising. Peekaboo really lending a lot of veteran vision control to this team and showing up big once again on the Thresh. And there he is.
Looking pleased.
At the end, looking very happy.
The amount of pressure that Peekaboo and Score together are able to exert on the map with just their vision, it's insane. I want to see KT up against SKT and see how it